AM 1220 KHTS and HometownStation.com with a Santa Clarita Celebrity Q&A. I'm KHTS News reporter Stephen K. Peoples, and in the studio with me now is a longtime resident of the San Francisco Canyon, who many of us saw first on CNN as a news and entertainment anchor. Today she's host of Local Edition on Time Warner Cable in Southern California. She's an infomercial spokesperson, a media coach, keynote speaker, and a webisode producer. Her name is Bella Shaw. Welcome to AM 1220 KHTS and Hometown Station. Her name is Bella Shaw. Welcome to AM 1220 KHTS and HometownStation.com. Bella.
Good to see you, Stephen. And the K stands for Kenner?
It stands for Kerr.
Okay.
K-E-R-R, family name.
Okay.
Goes way back to Scotland.
I see.
But
big oil name in Oklahoma, Kerr.
Oh
yeah.
Yeah.
Very wealthy people. Are you related to them?
No, I wish. Kerrville, Texas, right?
Okay.
There you go. So I love the talents that are listed on your resume. You know, one take, live to tape, ad lib, spokesperson, speaker, MC. Well, we're going to do one take, live to tape, and ad-libbing as we please here, so let's go.
All right. Well, you know, that's from CNN and being live, around the world 24/7, so no tape. And CNN, since its inception back in the early 80s, it's never ceased, never stopped.
That's right. Live. Now, not everybody knows that you're originally from Austria.
That's right. My father was in the military, in the Army, and he met my mother after the war. And so, I spent some time there as an infant, and then they moved to Fort Sill, Oklahoma. So my mother's Austrian.
And you were like 12 years old when you moved to the States, right?
Well, I was actually about 4 or 5, but I became a naturalized citizen.
Gotcha.
When I was 12.
All right, so there wasn't a whole lot of culture shock involved there because you were so young when you moved here.
Right.
Gotcha. Now, what was it like growing up in Oklahoma after a few years in Austria? Was it
complete opposite. You go from the Alps to the flat farmland, of Oklahoma, and you go from snowstorms and avalanches to tornado alleys.
Yeah, it's definitely that time of the year. Now, what were your teen years like in Oklahoma, going to middle school and high school?
Yeah, in middle school and high school, I was very involved in drama. And I was involved in speech. I went to a lot of tournaments for extemporaneous speaking and debate and standard oration and things like that. I was Speaker of the House, I think, in high school. And so I was sort of, making the steps in a way for a future in broadcasting even during my middle and high school years.
Sounds like you were a current events junkie even back then.
Even back then, I've always loved the news, and I always feel like I'm missing out on something if I don't know the very latest, So I was reading a newspaper as a child,
So what got you interested in journalism and broadcast journalism in particular as a profession?
As a child, in 1963, I'm not going to say how old I was, but watching the Kennedy assassination and being fascinated with Walter Cronkite and Harry Reasoner and those pioneers, thinking the tremendous skill and talent they had to be live like that and covering this major story. Then in 1969, with the Apollo mission and Neil Armstrong stepping on the moon, I again was fascinated with that kind of coverage. Now, at the time, there weren't that many women on the air. It wasn't until the mid to late 70s, I think, that Barbara Walters and Jane Pauley and Connie Chung, Jessica Savage, some of these women started coming into the forefront. In essence, opening the door for me so that I could pursue a career in broadcast journalism versus print journalism.
Right, and you went to the University of Oklahoma?
I went to the University of Oklahoma with mostly an emphasis on the print media. They didn't have that much in broadcast. Of course, that's now changed. They have state-of-the-art equipment, including Avid editors and things that would put most television stations to shame. But while I was still at the University of Oklahoma, my senior year, I started working for WKY Radio. And I worked part-time, 39 hours from Friday after school till late Sunday night.
Doing what?
The weekend news on WKY Radio. And at the time, it was an AM station, and eventually switched to FM.
Now, you also worked on a farm show, right?
That's right.
That's pretty amazing.
From WKY Radio, which was in the same building as WKY Television, I heard of a job opening, so I went over and applied. And the first thing they wanted me to do was host the farm show, which meant getting up at 2 in the morning. And you know, when you're in your early 20s, there's no social life at that point, and literally walking through a cow pasture to get to work. So I often said, you know, from the farm show to CNN, what a segue.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And so how did that segue happen? How did you make it from
the farm show
to CNN?
I paid my dues, let's put it that way. I worked so hard. After the farm show, I would leave and go to the state capitol, where I was the state capitol correspondent. I was also the weekend anchor. And, you know, and so I never worked a 9-to-5 job. And many times I was a one-man band. I'd shoot, write, edit, produce, air my own stories, which is the trend today, which I'm telling the young college graduates. You have to be a one-man band now.
You have to be vertically integrated.
That's it. You have to do the job of 4 people, producer, writer, you know. You have to do it all. And so it was a tremendous experience, you know, because I was able to do all those things.
And you were a host of Travel Guide on CNN for a while, right? Was that the first assignment at CNN?
My first assignment at CNN was the overnight shift. See, I never could escape. It was either the farm show with her horrible hours or the overnight shift.
Well, that's where you got to start. You know, you have to prove yourself there, and then they'll move you up. You know.
I was on the overnight shift, and then I switched to a show called Newsday, and beautiful hours. We had the 2 o'clock and the 4 o'clock show. Bernard Shaw was the anchor in Washington, D.C.
Bernie
Shaw, no relation. We were on the same show, and he would often get, you know, emails saying, "Hey, Bernie, we really love you and pearls," and things like that, you know. So it's funny.
That's funny. And how long were you at CNN doing Newsday?
I was at CNN 7 years doing Newsday. And I had a travel show in the weekend, which we taped ahead of time.
Right, that was Travel Guide.
That was a Travel Guide, and then they moved me to Los Angeles. They said, how would you like to switch from news to entertainment? And I was kind of always getting called on the carpet, so why not be called on the red carpet? I was always being called on the carpet for wearing black leather like Johnny Cash, and you can't wear those things, you're a news anchor. Of course, I was a trailblazer. Look at today, I was ahead of my time.
Well, that would be standard dress on the West Coast.
Oh, now that's very conservative on the West Coast.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, let me think about that. Wow, that would be fun. I get to go to the Oscars and Emmys and, you know, do a whole news segment. You know, news is kind of depressing, and now I get to lighten up and have fun with it. So I came out to Los Angeles and started hosting Showbiz Today.
Which is great. And you worked with Dennis Mitchell and
Dennis Michael,
excuse me, yes.
Dennis Michael and the Hollywood Minute.
Yes.
You know, all those great memories and all those great people.
And that's when we met years ago.
That's right.
You know,
that's
you were covering something related to Rhino. I was head of media relations at Rhino at the time, so we crossed paths many times. CNN folks would be covering our releases, and so it was, it's great to circle back around after all this time.
And the beautiful thing about it, Stephen, is that so many people in our category are no longer in the business. And here we are.
That's
here
true.
We sit today in 2013. We're still out there. We've morphed, we've adapted to the times, we found a new way to invent ourselves, and we've kept up with the landscape of rapidly changing broadcast media. Yeah,
well, speaking of which, after you left Showbiz, you did a bunch of TV. Did a bunch of TV shows. I'm going to throw out the names of the shows that you did.
Okay.
Okay, and just give me a little bit about what role you played and what the experience was like. The Larry Sanders Show on HBO.
Yes, I played myself. This was A Brush with the Elbow was the title of this particular segment episode, where Larry's shoved somebody in a checkout line, shoves him with the elbow and knocks him down, or I don't remember it. It was back in probably 1989, and so I played myself, and I'm just very, very serious about this incident that happened at the shopping market.
Oh goodness! And then Roswell, the famous series.
Yeah, aliens, spaceships are landing in Roswell, and I'm a newscaster, so it's very believable, adding credibility.
That's quite a story to be able to report that. Aliens landing in Roswell. And then you were also a reporter on Commander-in-Chief. On ABC,
That's
right?
right. That was the Rod Lurie directed and produced show for CBS with Gina Davis starring. It's a woman commander-in-chief. She becomes the first woman president ever. And I'm a reporter talking about her shift to the left, and she becomes a centrist or something like that.
Very good. And then you did a couple of episodes of ER also.
Yeah, remember that show? Again, a reporter,
Oh, yeah.
and an anchor, you know. So I just recently went on a voiceover audition for a new show that, I'm not going to jinx it, but dating back to those aliens again, adding credibility, you know. One giving it the very Anderson Cooper delivery, and the other giving it the over-the-top Jerry Bruckheimer delivery. So they've got two to choose from.
Very good, very good. Well, that's the true sign of a pro, is that you can deliver, you know, however the director asks for it. You know, and every director is a little bit different, so that's pretty cool. And Brothers and Sisters is another program.
Brothers and Sisters, I had more airtime. It was in the season opener, and Clarissa Flockhart and Rob Lowe, I interviewed them about, I believe it was the brother of Clarissa Flockhart going to Iraq and how they felt about that. And, you know, I got a lot of airtime on that because I was very serious in the beginning. How do you feel about him going to Iraq? And then I shifted gears with, so, tell me about your wedding dress.
My God. And then after, you also did a couple of infomercials along the way as well, right?
I don't, you know, Stephen, infomercials, when we were growing up, was what was the knife that did everything?
The Ginsu knife,
answer
yes.
phone, I don't know. Yeah, that's what I remember about infomercials. I never thought I would ever.
And the Popeil, all the Popeil gadgets,
Right.
kitchen gadgets, yeah.
Yeah. I never in my wildest dreams thought I would end up in the infomercial world, but Charlton Heston asked me to interview him for his Bible series. Charlton Heston Presents the Bible. And so it was an infomercial, you know, well done. It ran for 10 years.
Yeah.
And as a result, I started getting a phone call. Who do we get for infomercials? You know. So then I did Carlton Sheets, real estate, and the back. You know, your back is out. You need this new product. My latest is short-term memory loss, and I'm surprised I remembered it. That's my latest one.
So what's the product and what's the pitch?
It's a nutritional supplement that the science has found that can help, you know, if you get to be 40 or over, help you with your memory problems, your focus, and your concentration.
I'll take a truckload.
It's a neuropeptide.
I'll take 2 truckloads.
But wait, there's more.
Now, you've also moved into the web production space. You're working on a webisode series called BZS. Now, what's that all about?
We pronounce it Biz.
Okay.
BZSspotlight.com. What it is I bring this expertise from the infomercial world to small businesses who cannot afford a large infomercial. So it's the same thing. It's a very professionally done webisode. We shoot the A-roll, which is the interview, with the owner of the company. And then we schedule a later time. We shoot the B-roll, which is doing what they do, whether they're an ophthalmologist or a plastic surgeon or whatever kind of business they're in.
In the environment.
Then we edit it together. They've got a nice 4 or 5 minute package that they can upload to YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, any kind of social media and beyond. And, you know, people say, good idea, Bella, but, you know, my nephew goes to UCLA and he's a film student and he could probably, we got people in-house that can do that. Why do I need you? And it's sort of like, because it's professional. You know, it's not just the video quality, it's the audio. The audio is the trickiest thing to capture. We have a 3-camera high-definition shoot. We have the green room, makeup, hair, you know, post-production. Everything is just really well done, very affordable. And then we offer our services pro bono to any nonprofit.
That's a perfect segue, because I was going to ask you about your work with local nonprofits. I know that you've served as MC at a number of fundraisers and events that are designed to boost awareness for local nonprofits.
Sure.
Boys and Girls Club.
Boys and Girls Club. I was participating in the Celebrity Waiter. Last year I was emceeing a food event at the Relay for Life. You know, I'm always trying to get involved, you know, with the nonprofits because they have very limited resources, and so I do whatever I can.
Yeah, and a couple of years ago, you delivered a really cool keynote speech at the Newsmakers Awards banquet, which was very cool.
Right, and in fact, there was a picture on the front page of the Signal, and I was the keynote speaker, but it said Newsmaker of the Year. Well, that was the event that I was the speaker, but so many people said, congratulations on being the Newsmaker of the Year. And I said, I'll take it.
Well, we won't say anything about headline writing at the Signal.
Never let facts get in the way of a good story.
Exactly, exactly.
Go correct them.
Very good. And we're back on Santa Clarita Celebrity Q&A with TV news anchor and host Bella Shaw on your hometown station AM 1220 KHTS. I'm Stephen K. Peoples, KHTS News. And Bella, we were talking a little bit about your role as the local edition host on Time Warner Cable. And you live in San Francisco Canyon. I wanted to ask you a little bit about what life is like up the canyon.
You mean how many gophers holes do I have today? How many rattlesnakes did I almost step on? How many bats are hanging around my front door? I mean, it's unbelievable. But then I had a beautiful deer come by and, you know, get some water the other night. So we're right out there in the middle of all sorts of animals. San Francisco Canyon Road is becoming it's like NASCAR right now. It's becoming we had the Amgen tour come down. But yeah, it's a lot of people from this area don't even know that road is there and that it's a shortcut to Palmdale, Lancaster. You know, they don't realize that.
Yeah. Now, do you raise horses or grow grapes up there?
It's a horse property without any horses. And I do have some natural grapes, but I haven't cultivated them. It's hard to keep, you know, the rabbits and all the different insects and things away, squirrels, and it's always an adventure. It's really hot in the summer, but it's windy. It's kind of brings me back to Oklahoma living, the Dust Bowl days. And I'm right back in Oklahoma by living in San Francisco Canyon.
So it's almost like home in a way.
It's just exactly like home.
Now, what's ahead for you? What do you have? What do you have in the works? What are your plans for the next couple of years?
For the next couple of years, I'd really like to be successful at my own business, and that would be biz. You know, I have 2 partners, and we're giving it all we have. We're easy to work with. It's a great bunch of people. There's no egos. It's more fun than anything I can ever imagine because everybody just gets along so well. It's a very relaxed atmosphere. I'd really like to see it take off and become really successful, not only in, you know, Southern California, but maybe something that people would, you know, maybe fly in and get a professional piece. That it's so important. You have to have video today for your website. It has to be quality video, and we have to see who that person is and what their passion is, and hear them talk about it instead of just going to a web page and just seeing a bunch of words. That doesn't cut it anymore. You really need something for YouTube. That's the world that we live in.
Yeah, that's the way to communicate your message best, I think, is in a personal message, and that's a great service that you're providing.
It's a business card on video, and
right.
So anybody can pull it up on YouTube on their phone, and they learn so much more. We did one segment on rolfing. A lot of people have never heard of rolfing, but a person can say, well, watch this video. That explains everything. You know, and it's something that we can grasp. And, you know, you don't want to keep it too long because the attention span is really shortening now, particularly among kids. But I just want to stay current. I want to continue working. I want to be like Barbara Walters, work well into my 80s, and just continue doing what I've been trained to do, what I love to do. You know, I don't want to switch gears and go into something completely different. I still love it. I have evolved through several different formats now.
You've repurposed yourself nicely over the years, I think.
You have to. And you know, a lot of people fight it. And then I say, well, it's like this. Remember when color came in? And everybody said, oh no, we need to go black and white. Remember when talkies, well, you don't remember when talkies came in, but I mean, same thing. The silent picture, now we have talkies. You always have to be evolving. And if you don't, then you don't stay up with the current trends and you disappear.
Exactly.
You have to keep moving. There's a lot of people say, oh, I'm not going to text, and I'm not going to mess with Facebook, and I'm not going to do this or that. I have actually had some job offers from Facebook. It's reconnected me. I use it in a business way.
Right.
And I think it's just so important.
Yeah, I use it in the same way, and I actually had a newspaper publisher tell me point blank not to mess around with it because it was a fad a couple of
Yes.
years ago. So I had to do it on a stealth basis until the publisher came around,
I
which
heard
he
the
did
same
eventually.
thing about FM radio.
Yes.
Was that it's not going to stay.
Right.
You know, it's just a new novelty. Well, guess what? AM went almost by the wayside, but thank goodness there are great stations like yours that continue to air and broadcast.
Well, where would people find out more about you and your service? And
I have a website,
the biz service?
bellashaw.com.
One more time? Sorry, I stepped on you.
bellashaw.com, and there you'll find a link to not only the Biz Spotlight, but for Women Media Pros. And we coach people in a number of different ways, even for job interviews. I mean, how you come across in a job interview can be very important. So we catch the nuances, the little ticks that people have, the bad habits people have, they're not aware of, and we straighten it out and make sure, because what's the number one fear? Speaking in public. Yeah, so.
Making an idiot out of yourself in public. That's probably
yourself.
one of the biggest fears that anybody in public life has, is
Sure.
avoiding
I mean,
making an idiot out of yourself.
and when you're live, like I was at CNN, and they hand you a script, and you don't even have a chance to look at it, and you read it cold, and you're like, Namibian leader Ibrahim Babangida said today, you know, or if you get a tough one, the Namibian leader said today that you learn all sorts of tricks. But mispronouncing names or cities or things like that, you know, people just really take it personally.
Oh yeah, you'll get the calls. You'll get the calls. Any parting shots? Any other information that you'd like the community to know about you?
Yeah, I love this community. I think that, you know, being from Oklahoma, the people were the main thing about Oklahoma, because it certainly wasn't the weather, you know, so it was the people. And I feel very strongly that the Santa Clarita Valley has great people, and everybody knows each other. Now, whether it's through athletics or your parish or, you know, school or whatever, everybody's connected some way out here. And it's a very clean, beautiful place to live. You know, every time I go down in the valley and traffic and can't make a left turn, and you know, I'm so happy to be back here. We're close to the 126. We're close to the beach. We've got Magic Mountain. We've got great restaurants. We have concerts in the park. Great nonprofit. It's all here.
Very good, and so are you.
Well,
And we're glad that you're here.
it's good to be here.
Well, special thanks to our guest Bella Shaw, TV host and web producer, for being with us on Santa Clarita Celebrity Q&A here on KHTS, your hometown station. And I'm Stephen K. Peoples. We'll see you next time.